So the propaganda network from Qatar, AJ Plus, is asking the question, why is the U.S. Olympic team so white? And you'd think this would be a fairly simple answer for most people, but clearly AJ Plus just likes to play on wedge issues within America, and they always bring up race and discrimination that happens in America and all this shit. Whereas within their country, they have slavery and they literally enslave black people. So it's funny that they're so concerned about other people's countries and how they treat people when they treat people like shit within their own. But this is what other media, other countries do. They try to create division. They try to destabilize other nations. Because the more destable your nation is, the better off they can be, right? Because then they can take advantage of things that your country isn't taking advantage because they're too concerned with the civil war that has been started by outsiders within your own country. So, they're playing this up and they're like, oh, why is it the case? Is it discrimination? This and that. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with discrimination, okay? America is still a majority white country, and it has been a majority white country since its existence, and it's becoming less so now. But even so, it still has mostly white people. So, what do you expect the team to be made up of? And second of all, these are winter sports. White people are from cold climates typically. So people who grow up in cold climates, what do? If you grow up and there's a lot of snow, do you think you play in the snow? You think there's a higher chance of you playing winter sports than somebody who grows up where there isn't ice rinks and there isn't snow? This isn't that complicated. Like you go further up north to Canada here, you'll see a lot of people play winter sports and a lot of people play hockey, and we do very good in the Winter Olympics. And we're a very small country in comparison to other, like America and all this shit. We do very good because we're in a country with lots of snow. There's nothing to do with racism and discrimination that we'll just pick the white people because this and that. It's like, no. It should be fucking obvious why there's more white people in the fucking team. And the American team was the most diverse it's ever been in the Olympics so far. So it's like, it's the most diverse it's ever been, but no, it's still not good enough. We still got a lot of work to do. It's like, come on, shut the fuck up. Nobody is bitching about the representation in the Summer Olympics because they're like, oh, they only make up 4%. Black people make up 4% in the Winter Olympics. And then they're like, okay, but in the Summer Olympics, they make up 23%. So that's they're overrepresented in the summer. But nobody speaks out about that because it's not a fucking issue. We all understand the reasoning behind that. More black people live in hotter climates. They're more bound to do sports that are in the summertime, right? Like soccer, basketball, these things. So that is another factor. And money does play a factor too. Yes, white people do have more money in general. And these sports, winter sports, cost a lot of fucking money. Like, I grew up in Canada, but I grew up pretty poor, so I couldn't afford to go into hockey because it cost a lot of fucking money, right? So there is that aspect, but that's more of a class issue. It has nothing to do with race. There's plenty of white kids who can't afford to get into these sports either, and they can't afford to practice. And second of all, a lot of these sports nobody gives a shit about. Do you really want to waste your kids' time teaching them how to ski down a fucking hill for the potential of maybe winning a gold a couple times? And these people, they don't make a lot of money from this. Like, they train their whole life, and if they're lucky, they'll win a fucking gold. Like, not lucky, skill and all that stuff, but even that, it's, they don't make a lot. And the Olympics itself cost a lot of money to poor people and to the countries it goes to. Like it really affects low income people, and it just makes money for politicians and rich businessmen. So if you're really concerned about racism and things affecting lower class people, including minorities, then maybe you should be against the Olympics itself, because this is costing poor people of color, tons of money. It's making their life worse because they're just like they do not recuperate the cost. And there's tons of data on this of how, the Olympics are just a big fucking waste of money. So maybe focus more on this issue, less on the racial makeup of the American team, which is primarily a white country to begin with, so you would expect that. Nobody's questioning why the Chinese team is made up of all Chinese people, right? We understand, right? Because there are a lot of Chinese people in China, right? This isn't complex. It's only complicated when it comes to white people in their countries, though, because we have fucking liberals here, the white liberals here, bitching at us, to make things exactly even. But really, that's not even the case, because they don't even care if it's even, because like I mentioned, the winter or the summer Olympics, black people overrepresented. So if they really cared about it, they'd be like, oh, bring it back down. But they just care about getting more white people out of things. And I think that is the real case. It's less to do with making it fair and equal. It's more just make it so there's less white people, right? That's pretty much all they want. And like I said, it's AJ plus. They're just trying to create division among people. So don't blame black people for this. Don't blame, people like this. Because oftentimes what we got to remember too is it's a lot of white liberals who are pushing a lot of this division too. And it isn't black people. There are some. But a lot of this stuff, you got to remember, it is coming from, Qatar, other countries, other nations, and some white people. So don't always jump on the case of black people and start bitching at them, because this is often what I see a lot of times too, as some white liberals say something like this, and white people deserve to die, and white people commit all these crimes, and you see a bunch of white people coming, oh, well, black people this, black people that, black people this. And it's like, relax, this is what they want you to do. They're trying to goad you to react racistly and get mad at black people and start blaming them for a lot of shit that they're pushing. So just be wary about that. Don't get angry at minorities for a lot of this quota type shit, because a lot of the times they are not the ones pushing it. Sure, someone will go along with it because, hey, who wouldn't? It sounds good, if you're in their position. But, just remember, it's countries like Qatar and it's people like this that are really manipulating us and dividing us. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.